The Department of Homeland Security is raising its daily arrest quotas for ICE agents to 3,000 arrests per day. And there is still astonishment over Ukraine's drone attacks on Russian air bases last Sunday. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Authorities in Boulder, Colorado have added 4 more people to the injured list from the attack on peaceful marchers last weekend. Colorado Public Radio's Allison Sherry reports.
Officials say in doing witness interviews with various people who saw what happened on the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder on Sunday, they discovered more victims with minor injuries. These were mostly people who were helping the more severely injured in the attack. 2 of the 12 victims remain hospitalized. The Department of Homeland Security says the man charged with the crime came to the U.S. on a tourist visa 3 years ago, but didn't have legal status. He was an Egyptian national but lived in Kuwait for almost 20 years. He faces dozens of state charges and a federal hate crime charge so far, and has another court appearance later this week. For NPR News, I'm Allison Sherry in Denver.
The Department of Homeland Security is increasing its arrest quotas for immigration officers. NPR's Jimena Bustillo reports the demand to arrest more people comes at the same time DHS is running out of space to hold detainees and money.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed over the weekend that Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency is now required to conduct 3,000 arrests a day. That quota is an increase from 1,800, but the department is also struggling to keep up with its own pace. It currently has more people in detention than it has detention beds, and the administration is asking Congress for billions of dollars to hire more people and increase detention space, but that money may not come for several more weeks. The targets also come amid efforts to streamline and expedite deportations, but with limited resources, including personnel, to carry out those efforts. Jimena Bustillo, NPR News, Washington.
There's still a lot of astonishment over Ukraine's bold and unexpected drone attack on Russia last Sunday. Ukraine piloted drones that hit several Russian air bases spread deep across the Russian heartland. Some bases were more than 2,500 miles away from Ukraine or above the Arctic Circle. Ukraine calls this operation Spider's Web, but NPR's Greg Myrie says some Ukrainian bloggers call it Operation Trojan Trucks.
Yeah, Ukraine says civilian trucks were secretly driven deep into Russia and then parked just a few miles from these Russian military bases. The attacks were then launched remotely, allowing the hidden drones to fly out of the trucks and strike some of Russia's most valuable heavy bombers that were just parked out in the open at the bases.
NPR's Greg Myrie prepared that report. This morning, Ukraine is claiming that it has hit a strategic bridge in the occupied region of Crimea. Ukraine says it used underwater explosives to rupture the Kerch Strait Bridge. Russia uses this bridge to ship military supplies to its troops fighting Ukraine. This is the 3rd time Ukraine says it has hit that bridge. Health officials and the International Committee of the Red Cross say that 27 Palestinians have been killed today in Gaza and dozens injured by the Israeli military. The Palestinians were trying to get food delivered by a private U.S.-backed contractor in Gaza. NPR's Hadil Al-Shalchi reports that disorder has continued around delivery of the food, as aid organizations warn Gaza is close to famine.
It was another day of chaos and confusion as thousands of Palestinians tried to receive food from a site delivering supplies in the south of Gaza. Witnesses who were approaching the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, site said the Israeli military shot into the crowd. The Israeli military said that it initially fired warning shots to disperse a crowd that had gotten too close to troops, and then directed fire near individuals who continued to approach them. The military said it was aware of casualties and was investigating. GHF insisted there was no shooting in its facility and said the incident took place beyond their, quote, secure distribution site. The United Nations said that aid distribution has become a, quote, death trap. Hadil Al-Shalchi, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
Education Secretary Linda McMahon is expected to testify before a Senate panel today. She'll be asked about her agency's budget and President Trump's plans to close the education department. The Trump administration wants to lift Biden-era protections against oil and gas drilling on millions of acres of public land in Alaska. NPR's Jeff Brady reports the mostly undisturbed area is considered important habitat for wildlife.
At issue is about 13 million acres of land in the National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska. While it's labeled a petroleum reserve, it's mostly undeveloped wild land. The debate over whether to allow oil companies to drill there has simmered for years. The American Petroleum Institute applauded the proposal to lift the year-old protections, saying the oil industry is important to Alaska's economy. Environmental groups opposed the move, saying wild places deserve protection from drilling rigs. Pollution from burning oil and gas are significant contributors to climate change. The Bureau of Land Management will collect comments for 60 days before issuing a final rule.
Jeff Brady reporting. A new insurance report shows that hurricanes have caused hundreds of billions of dollars in damage in the U.S. over the last decade. As NPR's Rebecca Hersher reports, about half of those losses were insured.
Of the 5 most expensive hurricanes to ever hit the U.S., 3 of them have happened in the last 8 years. That's according to an analysis by the reinsurance company Munich Re. Property insurance companies were on the hook for about half the bill from those storms, the analysis estimates. Insurance companies rely on their own insurance to cover such losses in the form of what's called reinsurance. Home insurance prices and the price of reinsurance for companies have both skyrocketed in recent years. This is the first week of Atlantic hurricane season. It runs through the end of November. Rebecca Hersher, NPR News.
You're listening to NPR News from Washington.